So the alternative to controlling thought would be what? To just merely accept the thoughts, all right? And what we've tried to do in the past, including me and many others, cognitive behavioral therapists, in the past would be to help you change the thought. For example, from I am incompetent. Okay, I'm not incompetent, but let's just use that as an example. I'm incompetent in certain things. I'm incompetent in brain surgery. I'm incompetent in piano playing. But some people just think they're overall just totally incompetent. In the past, we would call that a core belief. In the past, we would try to work with the beliefs around that belief to begin with. I can't do anything right. Nothing ever goes my way. We have these thoughts that go through our head that are not necessarily accurate. Nothing ever goes my way. That's probably not true. Things probably go your way a lot of the time, and once in a while they don't. But that's what you pay attention to. So what we would do in the past would be just to, first of all, to get you to notice those thoughts, and then get you to change that thought, come up with a better, more realistic, a more positive alternative. And actually change the thought. We're not talking about Pollyannish kind of thinking, I'll just think something positive, I'm a wonderful person, and the world's perfect. That would be ridiculous. So we try to come up with a thought that is appropriate for you and is more realistic, but is believable, and something that you will buy into. And I'm letting a truck in here, so sorry, focusing on that. It's nice to treat people with dignity and respect and do some nice things. So this big semi was over on the right shoulder and wanted to get over, so I let him in. Anyway, so in the past we would help you change this thought to something more realistic, something more positive, something believable. And in most cases it worked pretty well. Recent research and recent theories, including those of Stephen Hayes, acceptance and commitment therapy, and dialectical behavior therapy, Dr. Marshall Linehan of the University of Washington, are moving more away from trying to change thoughts to just merely accepting thoughts, non-judgmentally. I mean, they're just thoughts. You don't have to believe them. You don't have to buy into them. They're just thoughts. So what we try and teach our clients to do is to be open and willing is a key term. Have the willingness to accept non-judgmentally. And when I say non-judgmentally, we can think of things, including thoughts, as good or bad. We live in a dichotomous world where everything's black and white, or everybody thinks everything's black and white, and that's what dichotomous means. When in fact there's shades of gray, and Marshall Linehan talks about the dialectic philosophy, which was first discussed, I think it went back before him, but Hegel and Marx wrote extensively about the dialectic philosophy, and really all that is a dialectic is you think about you have a thesis and an antithesis or antithesis. The thesis is the world's a safe place. The antithesis is the world's an evil place. All right? Well, neither one of those are really true. So what we do is we come up with an alternative, which is really is the synthesis of the two. Okay, that the world is a relatively safe place, but can be dangerous at times and in certain places. So the way you look at these thoughts, okay, whether you believe them or not, accept them non-judgmentally. They're neither good nor bad, and be willing to experience them, okay, and experience uncertainty, whatever it could be coming in the next moment or two, whatever. You're in the present moment now. I'm driving down the freeway. The car in front of me could slam on its brakes. Okay, that's uncertainty. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. And so the goal is to be willing, and willingness is an all or nothing proposition. You can't be kind of willing. Kind of willing is like being kind of pregnant. Okay, it just doesn't work. So if you're willing to accept uncertainty, and uncertainty includes, that car putting on its brakes in front of me, it includes people, it includes thoughts, it includes emotions, it includes physical sensations, it includes armed robbers and angry people. Whatever could possibly happen moments from now, that's uncertain. We don't know what's going to happen. So what's the use of worrying about it? Because we can't predict what's going to happen. We can try and plan and do our best to make sure certain things happen, but even with the best planning, it doesn't always work out quite as well as we would have liked. And so, instead of trying to control thoughts or change thoughts or emotions or whatever the case may be, just merely accept them. Be willing to accept them 100% non-judgmentally, and without looking at them as being either good or bad. They're just thoughts. There's my mind just having a thought. Oh, I just had the thought that I'm incompetent. Well, okay. Well, I know I'm not incompetent, and I may be incompetent in certain things, like playing piano and brain surgery, but I'm very competent in other things, including what I'm talking to you about right now. So, it's developing the habit of staying present. And what I'm talking about now is what I call being resilient, or be resilient. Okay? You learn to be able to focus on the present moment. Once you develop that skill of being able to focus on the present moment when you need to, then you can actually look at thoughts, situations, sensations, emotions, whatever happens to be going on at that particular moment. You can look at them objectively, unemotionally, willingly, with complete acceptance, all right? And if you can do that, then you can actually do something about the situation or the thought. And that's where the next phase comes in, which I haven't talked about yet, but I have briefly spoken about, which is stay the course, okay? And staying the course means, defining your values, because you probably don't know what your values are. my value, and I've talked about values at great length, okay? And I know my value is gold. So you learn or define your values, or reorient yourself with your values, understand them, exactly what they mean to you, okay? And then when those situations arise, and you can stay present, and you've developed resilience skills, like some of the ones that I've talked about, then you can have the presence of mind to focus on your values and act in accordance with your values, because your values, that's what's important to you. So instead of being attacked by an angry person, your mind could say, okay, go buy a bottle of rum and go home and get trashed. Okay, because alcohol is a real good way to avoid things. Drug abuse is another avoidance strategy. Instead of running off and buying that bottle of rum or bourbon or whatever it might be, you could take a deep breath and say, thank you for that thought, mine, but I've got other things that I value that are more important than alcohol, and alcohol will in fact inhibit me from achieving my goals and moving towards my values. So I'm going to choose not to drink alcohol, and instead I'm going to go for a walk, or I'm going to go home and meditate, or make love to my wife, or drink a glass of water, or whatever the case may be. So that's the next step. All right, so we go from staying present, taking care of the body, to understanding our thoughts, to observing our thoughts, to accepting our thoughts and other things, and then to acting in accordance with our values. That's the entire system. Stay present, be resilient, stay the course. Okay? So next week I'll be talking more about resilience, okay, and some things we can do to be more resilient, because that's the core of this. And then after that, we're going to talk more about values and defining what a value is, and defining values, and the role of goals and objectives, and those kind of things. And then finally, committed action, making a commitment to act in accordance with your values, is the final phase that we'll talk about. So it's a wonderful rainy day here in Kansas City. I went up to Fort Leavenworth to play golf and go to the commissary, which is a military term for supermarket. So I did manage to go shopping, but the golf didn't quite work out. But that's life, and I could get all upset about it, because it's a fairly long drive. It's a 40-minute drive to Fort Leavenworth. Long way to drive to the supermarket. But hey, that's life, and that's the way it goes. That's the name of that tune. Combat Counselor out.